Well, the state attorney's office tells me they're in the process of vacating these 17 cases, and they tell me this is the right thing to do.
17 cases where prosecutors secured a conviction will soon be vacated, explains Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren.
These convictions cannot stand. We cannot, in good faith, uphold convictions based exclusively on the words of those officers.
Warren says all of these cases involve Tampa police officers that were recently fired for misconduct. After reviewing 225 felony and juvenile cases, 17 convictions involved only the officer's word against the defendant.
As a result, there's simply no credible evidence to sustain the convictions in those cases.
Most of the 17 cases involved drug offenses or firearm charges. All of the cases, the defendants pled guilty to the charges. Police Chief Brian Dugan calls the whole thing an embarrassment.
It's obviously, and I think that's a very fair question, it's obviously very awkward and embarrassing for me to be here today. The only thing I can do to these officers is fire them, and that's what we've done.
As Fox 13 first reported in March, 3 TPD officers, including Mark Landry and John Larada, were in trouble for misconduct that included failing to file police reports and throwing away drug evidence. In some cases, body cams were turned off while people were being detained or questioned. They were eventually fired.
There's no reason not to include them in this process.
But Attorney Chip Purcell, who represents 2 of the fired officers, says the state attorney's office left them out of the process completely and questions why only 17 cases.
And if they're not credible, why are you picking and choosing the cases that they're not credible? I mean, you pick a handful of marijuana cases and say they're not credible here, but the armed robbery cases they've been involved in, the home invasion cases they've been involved in, the armed trafficking cases they've been involved in, they're credible on those cases? It seems very shady to me.
Now, the state attorney's office making it clear that in these 17 cases, it only involved the officer's word. That's it. In the other cases mentioned by that attorney, that involved victims, obviously, and other officers to corroborate what happened in those cases. That's why those cases were not dropped, just to make the record clear.